Hi art people, this is part 3, the last part of our overlapping tree project. Last week we did the middle ground, before that we did the background, now we're doing the foreground. And you're going to see why we're doing the foreground last today, because it makes it a little bit easier for things to be seen, because they're the lowest on the page, and they're also going to be the biggest thing on the page. So already I've got this little couple pre-cut pictures here. We're going to lay down our tree shapes so they go about halfway up. We're going to be covering half of the trees that we created last time we were together. But still enough to cover this and not seeing any blue in between. Super important. We want to cover up all that blue. So I'm going to lay these out first, see how they look. See if I can actually cover everything. Looks good. I might add a little orange there, one last orange tree. I'll cut my paper in half, give myself a nice oval. Let's make that a little skinnier, because I don't really need too much area there to cover. All right, looks good. They're all overlapping each other from side to side, but also from top to bottom. This foreground is overlapping the middle ground, which is overlapping the background. Once you're happy with your placement, we're gonna go ahead and glue them down. Being particular not to get glue on our artwork. Slide that on under there. I'm using an extra strength glue stick, but regular glue sticks work fine for this too. Just make sure that you're putting your glue a little bit all around the edges, not just the middle. If you put it on just the middle, it'll curl up on you and it'll eventually stick out off the paper, which is not really what we want for this. We're not going for 3D with this particular project. Cover up my dots at the bottom. And finally, last but not least, covering up my dots at the bottom. All right, so I don't have any of this blue paper showing through between my trees. I've got my middle ground, my foreground, and my background. The last thing we need to do is make those trunks and branches. And these ones are going to be the ones in the front, so they should be the best ones that we do. So take a look at your sheet if you want to, or go ahead and make up a tree if you want to. It is completely up to you. So what you're gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead and put our trunk down, and this one can go on to the green paper. And I can put a little bit of a base of my trunk. It can be a little thicker there. And then I'll go ahead and do my designs. I kind of liked this one. I did this one up in my brown layer here, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this one again. Just little curves that are curving off in different directions. Kind of neat, making sure I'm stopping. I don't want to run into another tree with this one. It's very easy to do by accident, which I am right now. It's hard. It happens though. It happens. Okay, got one done. Next, go ahead and we'll make another tree. I can bring this one down a little bit lower. We don't want them to be all exactly the same length down, because it would be too perfect, right? We want to make it look a little bit more natural. Even though we're using these colors and we're using these patterns, it's a little bit abstract, if you will, but still, we want to go ahead and give it a slight realistic look to it. So I'm going ahead with this other circle one. I kind of liked this design. Keep on drawing. With your circles. And it's not really matching up the shape of my tree, but that is okay. We're gonna make this work. And yeah, that's good enough for that one. All right, so next, my next trunk is gonna go down, not so far. I'm just gonna do a simple curve. This is one of my favorites. I love the curly Q swirl, spiral, if you will. Very pretty. Next, this one's gonna go down a little bit lower. So see, I've got a high, a low, a high, a low. The distance between the bottom of the paper is a little different for each one. It's not a perfect line, because perfect lines wouldn't be that good. I'm gonna do this one again, another easy one. Just some lines. And then last but not least, we'll go ahead and do this one. And what will I do for my final one? I'll do this one again. I kind of like this, with letter Y's coming off of it. There's a line, make it into a letter Y. There's a line, make it into a letter Y. This is gonna make it look sort of symmetrical, but not perfectly symmetrical, which is good. We don't want perfectly symmetrical anything. And there you have it. We've got this really cool piece of art that we've created that shows the foreground, the pieces or the trees that are closest to us, they're lowest on the page. We've got our middle ground, which is the trees that are somewhere in the center, and then our trees in the background, which are highest on the page. If you can look at any picture and find where the foreground is, that's usually the thing that's lowest on the page and it's biggest and closest to you, and find the background, which is the thing furthest away, you'll have no problem finding your middle ground. I hope you enjoyed the overlapping trees, foreground, middle ground, background project. I want you to bring these into me. Make sure you sign them on the front, put your teacher's name and grade on the back, and I can't wait to see them live and in person. See you soon.